Marvin, whatever can you be laughing at? Well, I don't see what's so amusing.
It's a young idiot we had visit our board of directors meeting today. A Scotsman named Alexander Graham Bell.
Well?
He has some impossible new toy he's constructing. He says he'll make it talk. He calls it a telephone.
Well, those Scots are very clever, you know.
Oh, Margaret, you should have seen it. It was nothing but an old cigar box with 200 feet of wire and a magnet from a toy fish pond. Oh, he was so earnest.
Well, it's small wonder they haven't led him away to the insane asylum. But if he's harmless, perhaps the authorities will ignore him. Oh, these days the institutions are so crowded.
Well, they certainly ought to make room for this young mister. I can't understand why Caleb Witherspoon invited him. We're too busy. The directors of the Central Union Telegraph are some of the richest, most important men in America.
Of course.
Oh, Caleb Witherspoon had us sit for nearly 10 minutes hearing this foolish young speech professor from Boston University tell us how he's going to invent something that talks. And what's more, he wants us to buy it from him.
Oh, no.
So he can use the money to finance a school he started for deaf mutes. The telephone, a cigar box that talks. Now, it's
Foolish.
the most ridiculous, foolish thing I've heard of all year.
Yes.
And as I've told you, Margaret, this modern world, thus far in the year 1876, threatens to produce a bumper crop of madmen. The telephone.
Alexander Graham Bell.
The story of Alexander Graham Bell and his magical invention, the telephone, goes back to his young manhood in Boston, 2 years after he'd gone to Canada to recover from the threat of tuberculosis, and after he'd begun to teach, at age 24 in Boston, elocution or speech classes for his father, a world-famous lecturer. Melville Bell had been the inventor of a famous education system for deaf mutes known as visible speech. It was a system the English writer George Bernard Shaw later immortalized in his work, Pygmalion. Alec, as his family called him, taught visible speech, and he was so good at it, he created quite a stir in conservative Boston.
My dearest mother and father, I'm healthy and getting along beautifully, and Melville, darling, it's from Alec. No.
Why, there are tears in your eyes. Now, you mustn't do.
I know. It's just that it's so good to hear from him. The other boys are gone now.
My dearest, please.
Well, he's all that we have, Melville. Gentle Alec is all we have left. I worry about him there in far-off America, in Boston.
He's fine. Those 2 years he spent in Canada totally restored him. If he's careful, he'll never have to worry again.
But is he being careful? We were with him in Canada and for a while in Boston when he first took over your classes.
He's a great speech teacher, an elocutionist worthy of his grandfather.
And of you. That's what you really mean, isn't it?
Yes, and of me. Why shouldn't he be? His grandfather Bell is still the greatest elocutionist and Shakespearean reader in all Scotland. And even though I, his father, am called by some the world's leading professor of vocal theory and English diction, Alec will someday surpass me. He has genius.
I had hoped he'd be a pianist.
Nonsense. His work is the human voice. Helping humanity is his goal, and he'll do great things someday for deaf-mute children. If only his brothers had lived. My oldest and youngest sons, and brilliant Alec between them, Oh, what a team of elocutionists and voice researchers they'd have made. I can't understand why God let my boys die.
Melville, don't.
I'm sorry, my dear.
I only loved them with a mother's love. But the 3 boys were your life. Strange. Alec always frail and the other boys so robust. Yet tuberculosis struck them down and spared Alec. And until we hurriedly took him to Canada for the climate, how we feared it would snatch Alec too. It's a horrible disease, Melville. But someday, men will wipe out diseases like tuberculosis if we all dedicate ourselves to humanity. And gentle Alec is dedicated. Why, he thinks of nothing day and night save rescuing deaf-mute children from their silent prison.
Let me have his letter. I'll read it aloud. Boston University. Teaching at a university in the United States. Professor Alexander Graham Bell. My son.
Read the letter, Melville.
Oh, yes. My dearest mother and father, I am healthy and getting along beautifully, and
My dear young Professor Bell, we were most interested in your lecture this afternoon.
Thank you, gentlemen.
My carriage is right here, Mr. Bell. Won't you be good enough to allow us to ferry you to your next speaking appointment, wherever it is? My name is Thomas Sanders, and this is Mr. Gardner Hubbard. Mr. Hubbard is an attorney, quite well known here in Boston.
How do you do, gentlemen? Well, if you're certain it's no inconvenience.
Indeed not.
I don't possess a carriage myself. Makes getting about a bit difficult. But as soon as my finances improve, I shall purchase one.
You're 25, Mr. Bell.
24, sir.
Would I were that young again.
Well, it still wouldn't enable you to match Professor Bell's popularity with the ladies, Tom Sanders. He's taken feminine Boston by storm.
I'm sure you can help my small son, Professor Bell. Describe for us again, won't you, your system? Just what does visible speech mean?
Yes, tell us again.
It's unique, as my father perfected it, but really rather simple, gentlemen. When we normal people speak, any sound, the lips, the palate, the larynx, and the tongue assume certain definite positions, always the same. Now, the nose and the chest aid in the producing of these sounds. Now, Father's method is to show, with enlarged sketches of the vocal anatomy, the precise position of each speech organ during the production of every consonant, vowel, diphthong, etc. With such sketches, a deaf mute who hears nothing at all can put his vocal organs in the same position, and by forcing air out, produce the exact same sound as a normal person. He'll speak.
Really amazing.
He'll speak, though he's never heard speech, and with effort he'll produce clear sounds.
Wonderful.
Indeed, yes. But your machine. Do tell us again about your machine. That's what fascinates me.
Well, Father's charts, you saw them, though grand things are a bit cumbersome. They worked perfectly well to teach the Mohawk Indians around me when I was in Canada recovering my health. And when the Boston Board of Education offered me $500 to bring Father's system here, I brought the charts. I use them now in my work with normal elocution students at the university. But my great dream is to invent a phonautograph or sound transcriber, a machine to replace the charts, a machine that shall render visible to the eyes of the deaf the vibrations of the air that affect our ears as sound.
Well, I'll declare.
I've never seen you so excited. You've been pacing the floor like that for hours.
Hubbard, I believe he'll do it. I believe in that young man.
Well, it'll be a great aid to the deaf if he does. But then, you're not thinking of that. At least, not entirely.
My dear fellow, whatever do you mean?
Oh, come on, Tom Saunders. It's not for nothing that you're the wealthiest merchant in Boston. You can smell money to be made as unerringly as a hound dog can sniff the presence of a jackrabbit. If this young man you so admire can perfect a visible speech machine, it'll make a fortune for somebody. Certainly not for him. He's too innocent and otherworldly.
Well, I must admit you're not far off the track. That machine would make a fortune. I believe in it so much I'm willing to back him.
Well, if Alec Bell can do anything to help your deaf son George lead a normal life, you'll spare no pains to assist. But we are, by heaven's grace, what we are. You're a businessman, and no businessman can close his eyes to the possibility of money. And why should you? Money, properly used, is God's gift, too. I tell you what, if you trust young Bell well enough to back him, I'll be his attorney. And from what I've seen of you businessmen, oh, forgive me, for I don't mean you personally, before his life is over, he'll need a good lawyer.
It's agreed.
But you'll have to wean him away from teaching at the university for a while, even from his ideas for his private school. He can't teach and invent at the same time.
That's true.
It'll be difficult, but let me persuade him. I know just the trick.
And so Alec set to work on his daring project, the sound transcriber or visible speech machine. Both Thomas Sanders and Gardner Hubbard had such faith in him that they encouraged him. In the meantime, a new factor entered young Alec's life.
Oh, my dear Professor Bell.
My dear Miss Hubbard. Oh, how lovely you are.
Perhaps we should go back to the others. I cannot very well be hostess for Daddy's garden party if I spend all my time strolling here in the rose arbor with you, can I?
Oh, forget the others.
Professor Bell.
Oh, forgive me. Please forgive me. I'm afraid I'm so honored that you condescended to walk with me here in this lovely arbor. I forget myself and presume upon your kindness.
Oh, not at all, Professor Bell. Well, now tell me, as we return to the others, about your work. Daddy says that you're living in Salem at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Saunders now.
Yes.
You've given up all your teaching for the time being to invent. I think inventors are wonderful.
Well, you do? Oh, I mean, why, yes, my invention. Well, you see, the visible speech machine will replace the...
Did you see them, Saunders? Who? Them. Every young inventor needs something to spur him onward. That's my trick, and I believe it'll work beautifully. Wires, magnets and dull experiments. But she admires inventors. Beautiful Mabel Hubbard admires inventors. If I'm successful, maybe maybe.
A burning determination to help humanity does inspire some men all their lives. But often, for great men, love provides the final spark to achievement. And though he didn't know it at the time, poor, innocent, and handsome Alec Bell was falling in love. But one day, while working in the laboratory provided for him in Mr. Sanders' home, Alec has another idea.
From Father and Grandfather Bell, I've learned as much about vocal physiology, acoustics, and the production of sound as any man alive. Why isn't it possible for a scientist like myself to construct an instrument which will actually convey across distances of several miles the sound of the human voice? Yes, why not? Now, what would I use as a conductor? A wire. Yes, a wire. That's it, a wire. A wire through which electricity flows, carrying the sound of the human voice. Oh, if I could do it, why, it would be a great boon to humanity. I'd call it the telephone. And if it were successful, I'd sell it for $100,000 and get enough money to open my new clinic for poor deaf-mute children. And later, I could work on the machine for visible speech. Yes, I'll do it.
And so Alex set to work on his startling new project. Both Thomas Sanders and Gardner Hubbard had such faith in him that here, too, they backed him. He worked feverishly day and night, obsessed with his new idea, convinced that it would work, and that with the money he'd earned from it, he'd never again have to beg money to set up his long-dreamed-of clinic for deaf mutes and to build his visible speech machine.
I'm tired, but I must try this technique once more tonight.
On and on he worked, and in the meantime, something cruel began to happen. When he explained his idea for a telephone, the few men whose opinion he valued most, his colleagues in the American scientific community, laughed.
My dear Bell, you may be an expert in vocal physiology and acoustics, but you're entirely ignorant in the field of electricity. You cannot transmit sound by electricity because to do that, you need a continuous electric current. And there is no such thing.
Preposterous. Utterly absurd.
Poor Alec. It was true. He didn't know anything about electricity. He would need a continuous electric current instead of the only kind anyone knew about, a broken current, to carry sound.
If what they say is true, then I shall invent a continuous electric current. Somehow.
On and on he worked, not sparing himself, scarcely taking time out for food, working like a man possessed. It was an impossible pace, and suddenly, one day early in 1873, it came. Tragedy struck and his health broke. He'd have to stop.
Your health is completely broken, young man. You're too fragile in constitution for the way you've been living. No more work in the laboratory. As your physician, I'm ordering you to complete bed rest in Canada.
Back to Canada, an invalid. But even in Canada, Alec Bell would not give up. He rested, he recuperated, feverishly dreaming of the day when he'd be able to return to his laboratory at Thomas Sanders' beautiful home in Salem, Massachusetts. And return he did. He began his experiments again. But more trouble was brewing. This time it was his backers, Thomas Sanders and Gardner Hubbard.
Perhaps I was wrong about Alec.
They say he's a madman.
I say he must return to his original idea of the visible speech machine. Either that, or I shall cut off the funds for his experiments. He can't continue his laboratory. Without my backing, he won't have a cent.
Gentlemen, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Hubbard, I'm sorry. I've apparently lost your confidence. But what you're asking is impossible. My grandfather Bell taught us all, father and his grandsons, that a quitter never wins and a winner never quits. I can't abandon the telephone. I must go on. And if necessary, I'll do it without money.
And then the worst blow of all. Again, Mr. Gardner Hubbard.
You what?
Yes, Father, I'm in love. I'm in love with Alec Bell. Oh, I know how you schemed. I know what you planned, even though you didn't tell me. You wanted Alec to be attracted to me because you thought it would help him in his work. You planned for him to fall in love with me, but it's boomerang, Father. I'm in love with him.
I forbid you to see him again. I forbid you to communicate with him again. He's gone mad with this invention of his, this thing that every scientist in the country is laughing about, the telephone. He'd never be able to support you. He'd fail. And I won't have him in love with you or you with him.
First they cut off my funds, and now Mr. Hubbard in this letter forbids me absolutely ever to call on Mabel again. But I've got to see Mabel. I love her. I love her. Someday I want her to become my wife. Oh, what shall I do? Perhaps if I go to the telegraph company. Yes, the Central Union Telegraph Company. I'll ask for an appointment with their board of directors. Explain the telephone to them. Maybe I can convince them to underwrite my experiments. And maybe that way I can win Mabel back. Oh, beautiful, gentle, lovely Mabel. Please, Mr. Witherspoon, I don't think your board of directors quite understood my plan.
They understood your demonstration quite well, Mr. Bell, and Mr. Haskins and Mr. Caleb Johnson expressed the attitude of the other men on the board of directors quite well. I don't have to remind you what they said.
Oh, I've never been so humiliated.
Why don't you go back to teaching? That's where your true genius lies. Boston University wants you back. You'll never be an inventor. Give it up.
No, I won't give up. Never. Never, do you hear? I no longer have my laboratory, but I'll establish another one somewhere, and I'll succeed.
But there was one problem, an almost insurmountable one. Alec didn't know anything about mechanics or the laws of electricity. And Alec, a gentleman and a scholar, was clumsy with his hands. He couldn't create the equipment with his hands that his mind envisioned. What he needed was a partner, someone who was as brilliant with hands as Alec himself was in mind. One day...
Good morning. Is this the Charles Williams Electric and Mechanical Shop?
Yes, and I'm Williams. What can I do for you?
My name is Bell. Alexander Graham Bell.
Yes, Mr. Bell.
I understand you have a mechanic in your employ whose name is Watson. Tom Watson?
I have.
Will you be good enough to allow me to speak with him? Oh, here's my card.
You what?
It's very simple, Mr. Watson. I've heard that you're the best mechanic in the city. I'm offering you a job.
You're offering me a job, yet you say you can't afford to pay me.
No, I'm afraid I can't pay you.
You're to leave your job at your fabulous salary, $18 a week, the highest paid mechanic in all Boston, to work for free for a loony young professor?
I wouldn't laugh if I were you fellows. I said stop laughing! Oh, I know, I must be losing my mind. I don't know what he did to me, but I accepted his offer.
You did what?
You heard me. I said I accepted his offer. I took the job.
You took a job at no pay? A 19-year-old mechanic like you? You're going to leave my shop?
Worse than that. Since he doesn't have any money, I told him I'd keep my job here and use my $18 a week salary to support us both while we experiment. Well, he's moving to my boarding house at Mrs. Murphy's next week. Well, that way we can work together at night, after I leave here.
Crazy. Stone crazy. Both of you.
You're probably right. But somehow I couldn't say no. He talked about helping deaf-mute children, and he won me over. I hope I won't be sorry. Oh, and Mr. Williams, I'd like a raise.
19-year-old Tom Watson. No, he'd never be sorry. For together, although he didn't know it then, Tom Watson and Alec Bell were to invent the telephone. They became immediate friends. Not long after, they were living in the same boarding house and behind in their rent when Alec's brilliant mind conceived another idea. It was bold and daring. It involved a dead man and a dead man's ear.
Alec. No, Alec, you wouldn't dare.
I must.
You could go to prison for that. Your reputation would be ruined, and you'd go straight to prison.
Tom, I'll have to risk that.